Hello everybody, welcome back once again. As always, I am Jay, the one cool enough to not get their own codename yet, checking in once again with the Energon universe, this time with the 5th and final issue of the Cobra Commander series. So it's a little bit late, I know, obviously this came out last week, but I wanted to take a little bit of a break, mostly because one was a long vacation weekend, and I finally was able to finish and upload the first part of my Clone Saga recap series, which I highly suggest you check out. I put a lot of work into it, and I'm really proud of the results and reception it's getting, so if you haven't seen it already, please check it out. But enough about that, it's finally time to wrap up the first wave of the G.I. Joe series with the Cobra Commander book. So, as always, previously on Cobra Commander, after escaping imprisonment by the Dreadnoks, Cobra Commander finds out that they've discovered a way to refine and expand the reserves of Energon, creating a near-limitless supply of the resource. However, with this revelation, Cobra Commander's assistant, the Nemesis Enforcer, turns on him, having been ordered to kill Cobra Commander once he's completed his mission. The Commander is able to kill the Enforcer, and takes the last remaining Dreadnought with him to track down the buyer of the Energon, the enigmatic Destro. And now, as always, a quick recap of the issue. We pick up an indeterminate amount of time between the last issue and the end of the Duke Mini, with Cobra Commander waging a clandestine war against Mars Industries in the span of several days, in order to draw out Destro and get his attention. However, in the last attack, Cobra Commander has left his Dreadnought partner, Ripper, to leave a message for Destro. Destro and his minions follow the message to a quaint, unassuming suburban town, but as planned, Destro's mooks are slaughtered by mysterious weaponry left by Cobra Commander. The Commander reveals himself and quite nearly gets his shit pushed in by Destro's minion, but is able to strike a deal with the man and brings him to his secret base. Cobra Commander reveals the research that he's been doing on the Energon, as well as the fact that he's been keeping tabs on not just Destro, but the various players all jockeying for power in the current world. Cobra Commander strikes a deal with Destro, offering him the Energon and his troops in exchange for giving him weaponry and funding for his new organization, which Destro accepts, though only partially for now. And the story ends with Cobra Commander delivering a speech to a crowd of various ne'er-do-wells, and ultimately and finally declaring the birth of the Cobra organization. However, the issue's not quite over yet, as we cut back to Cobra Law, picking up shortly after the events of the Free Comic Book Day special and Megatron's escape. Globulus discovers that Cobra Commander was hiding the full extent of his research from him, learning of the origin of the Cybertronians, and the story ends with a two-pronged approach, with Globulus preparing to send another commander out to capture the Cobra Commander and bring him back, alongside his primary assistant, Pythona, taking off to the stars to find the whereabouts of the Cybertronians and bring their war back to their own doorstep. So up until the stuff with Cobra Law, I thought this was a really good finale and a really good last issue. The indeterminate time skip between Duke and now is a little weird, but I like that we're kind of jumping ahead and getting to the real formation of Cobra by the end of the book. But I am glad the book ends with the full introduction of the Cobra organization, mostly because that big splash page at the end is really worth it. I liked the stuff with him and Destro. They're kind of already setting up their weird begrudging team ship rivalry thing that usually goes on, which I like. It makes sense, everything that they're doing. Cobra Commander kind of drawing him out and trying to pester Destro into helping him, and Destro kind of accepting because it's going to further his own goals. It's all very natural, all very fits their usual characters and expectations. I like that, again, we're not forgetting what was happening in Duke there, where this is specifically happening because of what happened in Duke, and the only reason he's teaming up is because, again, Cobra Commander clearly knows about the Transformers, and Destro has no idea what the fuck is going on, so it's only natural for him to want to team up with them. And I really like that. I like that we're kind of already setting up the usual secret base of Springfield. That's always kind of an underrated thing. I've always liked that concept of, oh, Cobra Commander and Cobra's secret base is just some fucking town in the middle of nowhere. It's just some random suburb. I've always really liked that concept. It never really gets used a whole lot, other than the Marvel comic. It never really gets brought up from what I remember. So I'm glad we're using that. Beyond that, though, the book is largely exposition heavy, but it's really setting up Cobra Commander as a leader of the organization, with the way he treats his own troops is very expendable because, it's more about the ideology. The bodies and the numbers can be replaced, but the idea is what's important. And I really like that. Though the only thing I really kind of find questionable is every single like early adopter of Cobra that we see is exclusively a overweight, white bearded redneck looking guy. So I don't know if that's like a deliberate like political statement by the writers and the artists, or it's just a weird coincidence. Because I mean, that's basically what all the Dreadnoks were, anyways. So I don't know if that's like they're trying to do a like modern day like redneck alt-right type of thing, because Cobra is usually very like hard right fascist ideology. That's their kind of thing. So I get that, but I don't know. It feels a little questionable to make it that kind of very pointed archetype that we see. I don't know. Maybe this is just me filling in blanks. Maybe I'm just assuming something. But I think that's a little interesting, and I don't know if that's necessarily a good idea. But either way, I do really like the formation of Cobra, and the way Cobra Commander's speech there is, it does kind of make sense that what they're going with Cobra Commander's whole speech about his ideology, and he doesn't really specifically make any kind of leanings in political ideology or mindset. It's mostly just, I had no place for myself, but then now I kind of found my own place, and this is a place for you. It's very much trying to court that mentality without really making any specific statement, which I think is a wise decision, but I think that specific depiction with the crowd is a little questionable, but we'll see where it goes from here. We obviously still have a long way to go before we really get into Cobra as we know it from like the cartoons and stuff. So I don't know, but it's whatever. I'm not going to knock the book for it. But overall for that, then this one again is really kind of more exposition heavy, and I really like that. I like the dynamic, like I said, with Cobra Commander and Destro. But beyond that, there really isn't a whole lot else to say. Like I said, I'm not super fond of the Cobra Law ending there. Not because they did it, it's just the weird two split storylines that they're doing there, where like it'd be one thing if globalists found out about the Cybertronians, then Cobra Commander's research and saying, we're going to take the war to the surface people and bring back Cobra Commander. But where they're also sending the Cobra Law guys off into space is going a little too far too fast, I think. One, I don't know how they fucking have space travel. I guess they just do. That's just introduced randomly. They've got fucking weird spaceship bug things. So I really don't know. That's probably I don't know if that's gonna tie in with Void Rivals or Transformers specifically. Probably both, technically, because Void Rivals obviously now has more heavy Transformers influence in it. But I don't know. I think that's moving ahead a little too fast in too many different directions. So it kind of stumbles a little bit there with that little cliffhanger. But overall, I thought this was a good finale to the story. A good overall book for Cobra Commander. I really like how they set up Cobra Commander. He has a very good personality, a very good ideology. I really like the way he's drawn. And of course, at the very end, we get the true and honest original Cobra Commander costume with the helmet, and he's got the big snakehead staff and everything, which is good. I'm glad they waited until the very end to introduce the costume as well. And that looks really good. Overall, I think the ending stumbles a tiny little bit, but this was a really good book, a really good finale. I really liked the Cobra Commander mini overall. I am excited to see where we're going next with G.I. Joe. I know the next two minis are for Scarlet and Destro, which I believe I've already said. We have a preview for the Destro book in this one, which doesn't really say anything at all for what I'm going to assume is going on. The Scarlet one establishes that they're going to be bringing in the Arashikage clan, so we're probably going to be getting, if not Snake Eyes, at least Storm Shadow, or one of those guys in the Scarlet book. So I think my prediction about Snake Eyes being next in terms of minis is relatively accurate, but we'll see. Overall, like I said, we're getting into a little bit of stumbling points with the Energon universe. I think we're moving a little too fast, but I'm liking where things are going so far, and for the most part, the current trajectory is very good, and I'm looking forward to where things are going to go from here. That's going to be it for me this time. I don't really have a whole lot else to say. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time.